is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
All kinds of things to cover today. I'm Joey Mack. A couple of Ducks honored last night nationally, enshrined forever. We'll tell you about that. Also, Dusty Harrah is going to join us all the way up I-5 from Portland. We'll talk with Dusty Harrah, his thoughts on the matchup with James Madison, and talking about the Dukes. Who better to get to know than Dave Riggert, our counterpart? He's behind the mic, the voice of the Dukes. James Madison, play-by-play broadcaster Dave Riggert's going to join us today. Some all-conference recognition for a couple Ducks on the track. And also we're going to get into what has become a bit of an annual tradition during finals week at the University of Oregon, where we cover our Hall of Fame class here in the University of Oregon Athletic Department. There's so much going on. For example, this class was enshrined in Oregon Athletic Hall of Fame lore. They're out actually down the hall here in the Casanova Center. Their names are now etched quite literally on a bronze plate now on the wall. We will talk about the entire class because this class was enshrined right before Oregon football played USC. It had a lot going on. Well, we actually do interviews with each inductee up on stage, and I love to play those for you to really give each inductee the moment in the spotlight that they absolutely deserve. We're going to do that later on today and tomorrow here on the program. Last night, though, in the College Football Hall of Fame, a couple of Ducks were recognized. First, Rob Mullins officially presented the 2025 John L. Toner Award. It's given to athletic directors who have demonstrated superior football administrative abilities. Rob, of course, a lot of success here at the University of Oregon, but beyond that was the chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee at one point. Rob Mullins officially given that award last night. I remember when he was announced as that award winner, and a lot of us were like, yep, that makes sense. So congratulations to Rob Mullins, Oregon Athletic Director. Also last night, Haloti Ngata, officially inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. If you're here at the University of Oregon, you'll now see a plaque for him right outside the Casanova Center, just outside of Autzen Stadium here in Eugene. His plaque is now enshrined forever here on the University of Oregon Athletics campus. Haloti Ngata playing for the Ducks in the early to mid-2000s. One of the best Oregon has ever seen. One of the best college football has ever seen. And he gave us some emotional memories last night during his Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
So I grew up in Utah, and going to Eugene was the perfect place for me to go. Just being away from family and a place for me to just grow up as a man. So you grow a lot and in college, and so they become your family for the rest of your life. And so Eugene has brought me so many things in my life, and becoming a man, and friends that become your brothers, and the Hall of Fame with Coach Bellotti. It's just amazing. He was a great coach when I was there, and we won a lot of games, and it's just, it's weird that I'm here because, all I want to do is put my head down and work, and it ended up, doing well for myself, and just, very blessed and thankful for God for this honor.
Special stuff from Haloti Ngata. Outstanding. Congratulations to both Rob and Haloti, officially inducted into the Hall of Fame and given some pretty prestigious awards. As we now turn to Portland, Dusty Harrah with us in the first segment today. Kind enough to join us, as he always does every Wednesday. Dusty, I wanted to start the show with that, because Haloti Ngata getting recognized, I think, says a lot about the growth of Oregon football. When he was announced initially as a member of this year's College Football Hall of Fame class, I thought, you know what? Yes, that makes sense. The Ducks have had some great ones in recent memory. We're going to talk about Marcus Mariota and Hronis Grasu, Oregon Athletics Hall of Famers now this week. But Haloti Ngata was part of a real key era of Oregon football, and he's a real key cog in what has become the golden era of Oregon football, Dusty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, when you think of Haloti Ngata, you just think of dominance, and dominance for over like a 20-year span. The dude played in the NFL for 13 years, and we went back and we looked at this yesterday. He only missed like 5 games in his first 7 years in the NFL.
Wow.
And it was just like an incredible run of durability and consistency. And that's what he was at Oregon. You talk about like the time that he was at Oregon. I mean, this is after the initial surge to get to a Fiesta Bowl with Joey Harrington and that crew. And then, what is the next step? And that group of guys in the early and mid 2000s are the ones that kind of vaulted into what became, a perennial powerhouse football program. And they kind of laid the ground floor for what it would look like to have a dominant football program. And Haloti Ngata is a great kind of beacon of that because of the teammate that he was, not just the dominant player, but the teammate that he was, and always being there for his guys. My podcast co-host Cole Linehan was talking about, Haloti was a guy that was like the dad of that defensive line room, where, when he got his first start, he's like, "Why are you nervous? Did you watch film? Did you practice hard? Are you prepared? Do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what they're going to do?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, what are you nervous about? Go out and play."
Yeah.
Right. He was that kind of guy, but then off the field too, he was there for support in a lot of different ways, because, he faced a lot of adversity and tragedy in his life during his time in Eugene. And he helped his teammates through those same struggles and trials and tribulations as well. It's a great honor for a great man and a dominant football player as well. I mean, you think of him, the greatest offensive lineman in football, just said he was unblockable. We think of guys like, Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt. No. Haloti Ngata was a guy who was impossible to move on the defensive line. So it's a great honor for him, college, and hopefully the Pro Football Hall of Fame soon too.
Yeah, you just said what I was going to say. I mean, he's remembered not only for the great career in college, but I think there's no doubt his pro career helped shape that resume, if you will, and I think it helped put Oregon on the map, Dusty. I mean, I'm glad that you and I get to have this conversation. I'm going to ask Jerry and Jorgie about it, and did when he was initially announced as part of the class. It's so, I think, impactful for Oregon's reputation, because Haloti Ngata was such a big part of that reputation.
Yeah, I mean, think of how many great players came through, and those guys in that time, they say, I don't think we ever saw Haloti get blocked. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody won against him, whether it was practice or a game. He was just that dominant. You think of the great teams and, the great offensive linemen that he went head to head with in the Pac-10 back then. You're talking about guys like, the Khalils and USC and their dominant offensive line. But then you also take that to practice and think of the guys that were on the offensive line. Your center is Max Unger, right, and your guard are guys like Jeff Schwartz, who are NFL guys, and they couldn't do it even in practice. I mean, that just shows you the level of dominance Haloti Ngata had.
And that's why you hear us all the time talk about stacking these recruiting classes, make practice so hard. That's what this Duck team has now continued to do. As we continue with Dusty Harrah. Special day, though. Last night, the induction ceremony, so got a chance to revel in it and celebrate it a little bit today. Talking, though, Dusty, about this iteration of Oregon football. So much made of the recruiting class, rightfully so. Now so much made of another run in a college football playoff. Getting a chance to host a game at Autzen Stadium. What was your reaction when you saw 5 versus 12, Ducks versus Dukes?
I just got excited for what Autzen Stadium is going to be on December 20th and how cool that environment is going to be. And I really kind of love the, be a part of history and the videos that are coming out. It gets me amped up, man. It gives me goosebumps to just think about what that environment will be like. Never have we had a playoff game in Autzen Stadium's history. Yeah. And there have been a lot of really cool moments, defining moments for, the football team, the program, and really like the history of the very first Pac-12 championship game being in Autzen Stadium, but this is the first playoff game that will ever be played there. And for, the local fans to have an opportunity to be a part of that, that's awesome. And then to get a team like James Madison, where, we've seen these stories a lot in the world of college football. And I think locally we think of, Boise State being one of those, little engines that waited and waited and waited for an opportunity and a stage to prove their worth and who they are. And they had to wait a long time to get it. And that's what all these programs are looking at. And, Boise State took that stage where nobody gave them a chance against Adrian Peterson and the Boise State or in the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, Boise State caught him on the chin that day. And, it's a opportunity for Oregon, not just to win a playoff game, but get a good test before, hopefully what will be a long run through January.
I'm glad that you went there when I asked you for your reaction, that it's a fun matchup between Oregon and James Madison. Because that's what I've been saying, Dusty. Like, so much in the national narrative is about who didn't get in. I'm here talking about these are the criteria. James Madison got in. Oregon's playing a team that's got nothing to lose. As Dana Altman would say, swing away at Autzen Stadium. I mean, that's what this is supposed to be about.
Yeah, and look, I'm always I'm the type of person that always looks at how the other team is going to have a chance to win and kind of and
yeah, you're a
that
coach.
Way. I always do it. I always will go down that road of the reality of it is, and this is the national narrative is Oregon is the better team. They have the better players. They have a phenomenal coaching staff, and all of those things are true. You look at the schedule that Oregon has played and the proven tests that they've had along the way. But for James Madison, it's also, we hear all of these teams say, well, we only played this schedule that's in front of us. Well, that's what James Madison did as well.
Right.
They only played the games that were on their schedule and ahead of them. And you can look at every metric and say, yeah, Oregon should be heavily favored, and they are heavily favored to win this game, whether it's by the pundits or whomever else. But James Madison, I thought this was interesting. In any of these great teams that are the Cinderella story, if you will, what they are is they're sum of all their parts, right? And that's what makes them different. That's what makes them special. And James Madison has that because they have the number 2 ranked defense in all of college football. And you can say, yeah, well, they play in the Fun Belt. I don't call it the Sun Belt. It's the Fun Belt. It's a dynamite conference to watch on like Tuesday and Wednesday nights. But they play in the Sun Belt, but take care of your business, right?
Yes.
And you look at their last 4 games, I think they gave up 30 yards rushing in their last 4 games combined. And 130 of that, or it was 100 yards, and 130 of that was against Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
It was negative 26 yards in the Sun Belt championship game. It was negative 5 yards the week before. I mean, they are really stinking good up front. But you look at the Sun Belt All Conference, they had 1 first-team All Conference player on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a defense that is the sum of all their parts. And, those are the teams that you go, all right, they're fundamentally sound. They're really well disciplined. It's not one star kind of bailing them out and saving them. They play team football. And, those are the tests that you got to be ready for. I'm excited to watch Oregon. I really am. I think that this layoff, getting a chance to get right, get healthy, and kind of tinker with what, the long layoff before the Rose Bowl last year, how that changed. We've heard a lot of, Dan Lanning kind of loves that challenge of, all right, how do we correct maybe things that didn't go right for us before? I'm really interested to see kind of, how Oregon attacks this long layoff, getting ready for an opponent like JMU coming to town.
And the Ducks are done with their academic commitments after this week. It's finals week right now at the University of Oregon. And then next week really plays like a standard game week for the Ducks. At least that's how the schedule maps out, playing on Saturday. As we continue with Dusty Harrah, there's a reason that Bob Chesney is going to be a Big Ten coach next year, Dusty. Like, I agree with you. Ryan and I were talking about this on Monday. Like, that's a good team. But Oregon does need to take care of business, and it's yet another example on the national stage where Oregon can do just that. Because these are the goals that are in front of this team. They've made no bones about that.
Yeah, I mean, the goals are not to host a playoff game and say, all right, great season.
Right.
It's to win and to keep on winning. And that's what every fan should hope that the aspirations of their program are. And the reality of it is there aren't a lot of programs in the country that can say that. And this is one of them. And so that is really fun. And you talk about Bob Chesney and, a guy who was at Holy Cross just a handful of years ago. I think in 2020, 3, he was at Holy Cross in the FCS level, and everybody's like, dude, this guy is finding ways to win, and he's a really good coach. He replaces Curt Cignetti at JMU, and this is also like, bringing Boise State back up again. When Dan Hawkins left, it's like, all right, well, good luck. That was a great run, Boise State. Well, Chris Peterson took it to another level. And that's kind of what Bob Chesney has done. And now he's going to be in the Big Ten and a part of UCLA, it's going to be a fun, first glance at what it may look like with the Bruins in a couple of years when Bob Chesney gets his hooks into that program and institute his culture. Because Curt Cignetti at Indiana laid a great foundation for Chesney to step in and take over and to run with. And it's really cool to see when a guy does that, but it tells you he's a really dang good coach. He's won everywhere he's gone. Now, he doesn't say Google me like Curt Cignetti did, but he has every right to, because he's won everywhere he's gone.
We'll talk more about this subject with Dave Riggert, our counterpart from James Madison, coming up as we hit pause with Dusty Harrah all the way from Portland today. He'll be here in person next week getting us ready for Oregon and James Madison, where he'll be roaming the Toyota sidelines coming up for our broadcast with a 2:30 pregame show and a 4:40 official kickoff here on the Oregon Sports Network on December 20th. So get that longer pregame segment ready. All right, buddy?
You got it. I just feel special being in the first segment. Like, this is great.
That's all it took, huh?
Yeah.
Dusty Harrah, kind enough to join us. We've got Dave Riggert coming up. Thanks, Dusty.
Yep, thank you.
Talking with the voice of the Dukes next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Thanks to Dusty Harrah for joining us. Now, let's get to the other side of this matchup. Dave Riggert, who will have the call on the Dukes Radio Network coming up here from Autzen Stadium on December 20th. We talked with the voice of JMU, Dave Riggert, getting you ready for the matchup. These are always fun conversations because it's a chance for us to get to know the view from the other side of the CFP matchup, the voice of James Madison. Dave Riggert is our guest. Dave! Thanks for being with us. I said when you logged on, what great background branding by you. It's like you're a professional or something.
Hey, I try and do it the right way, get the school represented. Hey, for you guys, you're in this spot probably, I obviously number one seed a year ago. You're going to be in this spot multiple times. For a place like James Madison, we got to take advantage of this because this could be a once in a lifetime type situation for this university. But for them to be in this spot, I think is so it means so much to this community, this university, this institution, and this fan base. So we're going to take advantage of it. We're going to get the name out there as much as we possibly can. Heck, your fans don't even know where James Madison's located, I'm sure.
Well, okay, a little bit behind the broadcast. Dave and I were just talking about this. So we actually, with our company connections, right, both of us actually work with the same network manager. So that means, Stephen Hartzell, if you're listening as a James Madison alum, I know that you have a lot of Duck gear. You better be wearing both sets of gear coming up for this game. Is that acceptable, Dave? Can we be on the same page there?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Ducks and Dukes collide together. Let's do it.
I like Ducks and Dukes. I'm stealing that from you. I am stealing that. Okay, so Dave, I have to tell you, I did not warn you about this. We have a tradition here on Duck Insider. We ask that every first-time guest tell their 2-minute life story. The goal is as close to 2 minutes as possible. So not Price is Right rules or anything. You can go over, but as close to 2 minutes as possible. What is the 2-minute life story of Dave Riggert? Go.
Here we go. I grew up in a small town in Nebraska. I graduated with 50 people in my graduating class. Went to school at the University of Nebraska and did track and field there. I was a shot putter. I was a discus thrower and a hammer thrower, and then did some internship with the Husker Sports Network when I was in school. So got an internship there, produced a lot of Nebraska games and did that. Wanted to stay in radio, and then got my first job in Salina, Kansas, calling NAIA Kansas Wesleyan Coyotes football and basketball, some high school stuff. After about 7 or 8 years there, I went to St. Joseph, Missouri, and called Division II games for Missouri Western State University, just north of Kansas City. Was there for about 9 years, trying to find a D1 gig at some point in time. And finally, James Madison opened up. Had tried for some jobs, couldn't get it. JMU opened up 4 years ago, and lo and behold, I got the James Madison job. And at that time, it was still an FCS school. And then 2 months after I took the job, it became an FBS. They announced they were going to FBS, moving up to Sunbelt. So in a matter of 2 months, it became a pretty big job, and a much bigger job than what it was when I took over there. But been there this is my 5th season of calling games at JMU, and absolutely love it. Great place. They really care about their athletic department. They put a lot of money into it. JMU Nation is behind them. Our fans are pretty passionate, and we've had a lot of success. Since I moved up 2 years ago, saw a basketball team get to the tournament for the first time in 11 years, get a win. Football team play in their first bowl game, and the baseball team get to a baseball regional. So it's been a great ride since I've been there.
Minute 37.45. That's a broadcaster who's efficient. You know how to hit a timeline, right?
I could have gone more in detail on the things, but your folks don't really care. They have enough of my background now.
I hope our folks care at least a little bit. I mean, to me, these are matchups that are fun. These two teams have never played, right? Like, what connection would there be between Oregon and James Madison? I mean, that's why I love these sorts of matchups. I'm glad that you brought up, though, the university, if I could, Dave. Like, tell us more about James Madison and the rise that you all have been on. Because I think it's safe to say that at least my view from the outside is James Madison is now on the map and here to stay at this level of college athletics.
It used to be an all-women's college,
right.
An all-women's teachers college. So it's taken a while. This is the 54th year of football, began in the early 70s, and it was a Division II school. It transitioned in the 80s to FCS, or Division I AA at the time, and didn't have a ton of success. It took till the early 2000s to have some success. Mickey Matthews was a longtime coach. They won the 2004 national championship by winning all the games on the road. It was unexpected, but that kind of put them on the map on that level. Again, FCS, I honestly, until I got to JMU, I didn't pay much attention to the FCS. There's obviously great football there. There's great football players, but it's just not a nationwide thing. It's kind of a niche thing. And again, it gets overlooked because there's some great football players that are playing at that level, but that's kind of when the rise started to begin. And Jeff Bourne, the previous athletic director, he started in 1999, and that's when everything kind of started to become become a big deal. This used to be a basketball school, ironically enough, because in the early 1980s, they played when North Carolina won the national championship with Michael Jordan. The Dukes lost to them by 5 in the first round, and that was their closest game that entire postseason run in the NCAA tournament. They made back-to-back appearances in the early 80s and played North Carolina, played Georgetown, I think, the other year. So they've had great success. Lefty Driesell was the head coach here. Lou Campanelli was the coach here. So they had some big names and they were really good in basketball. But then in the early to mid-90s, they weren't very good and haven't really been good since until the last few years. So it's known as a basketball school. But football became good in the early 2000s with that national championship at the FCS level. And they were solid for a while. And then about mid-2010s, 15, 16, 17, that's when it really started to take off. Mike Houston came over from the Citadel and helped win a national championship in 2016 and at the FCS level. And then they were in the Final Four of the national championship game almost every single year up until that point. They were runners-up in back-to-back seasons in the late 2010s. And then there was always a thought of jumping up to FBS. And there was a thought as late as probably around 2010, 2011, they were thinking about making the jump up to FBS. But they wanted it to be the right move for the university, for the athletic department. They weren't sure if it was just going to be the right move because you just don't want to jump. But they have a lot of backing. There's over 22,000 students that go to JMU. So it's not a little school. It's got a lot of tradition, a lot of history. And so they waited about 10 years to really make the move. They wanted to make sure they had the investment right in the university and the athletic department. They built a brand new basketball arena. They've expanded the stadium. They're looking to expand it even more now. So they really put in resources to make sure that they were in the right spot to do it. And they didn't just want to jump to a conference that wasn't going to be good for them. And the Sun Belt's been perfect in the 4 years now that they've been in the league. It's been outstanding. So they made the hard decision not to just jump, and they made sure their budget was good. They've got one of the best budgets. They have the highest budget in the Sun Belt, one of the best at the G5 level. So they've done it the right way. And it's fun to see it pay off now to maybe have the hard decision not to jump, but to do it the right way and then see it pay off to get into the CFP.
That's Dave Riggert, the voice of James Madison, giving us the view from the Dukes. Time out, more with Dave coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio today as we continue chatting with Dave Riggert. He's the voice of James Madison, getting ready for that college football playoff game on December 20th at Autzen Stadium with Dave Riggert. I'm curious, too. I mean, certainly coaches make a big difference, right? And there's no doubt that the James Madison right now has a coach that's made a difference. And in the world that we're living in, Dave, I just got to say, where there's so much movement and carousels are spinning rapidly and rapidly and rapidly, I think it's refreshing to have a staff handle things the way that yours has. Tell us about that.
Well, our AD, Matt Rohn, spoke during our selection show watch party yesterday, and he spoke to the student athletes and to all of us that were there, and he said that he feels like JMU, the way that they have handled this, especially in the wake of the Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin stuff and the debacle that certainly has been, that adults can just do the right thing and make the right decisions, be adults, and do what's best for the student athlete, for the team, for the university. And Coach Chesney's handled this perfectly. Obviously, JMU will lose him after 2 years, 2 incredible years with Coach Chesney, and he has done it the right way. He's been very transparent with the administration. He's been very transparent with his team. I think this team really understands that this is a business. Heck, he's had to transform the roster. He brought in 60 guys a year ago. He brought in 50 more guys this year. So all of these guys have been part of this transitional way of doing things now at the college athletics level, especially in college football with teams turning their rosters over so quickly. And JMU's had to do that when Curt Cignetti left for Indiana and all the success that he had. A lot of guys went with him. There's a lot of JMU guys on that roster that helped them get the number 1 seed. And you guys got to see them firsthand when they came out to Autzen. So it's been an unbelievable couple of years. It's been an unbelievable ride, but for Coach Chesney to come and be transparent and handle this the right way. Billy Napier is going to be the next head coach at James Madison. I know he's going to come in and have a press conference this week and just talk about things, talk to the team. Coach Chesney had a press conference at UCLA and even told his guys, hey, I'm going to be gone for a couple days. They have the days off. I'm going to go talk to a team that I know nothing about and don't know anything about the university, but I'm going to go do that, get it out of the way, come back and be laser focused for what we need to do. He keeps saying that, all of that stuff, even his press conference, everything like that, that's 2026. That's next year. This is this year, and we're going to finish this the right way, not have anybody else come in and do the job that I've been doing or any of your jobs. We will finish this together like we started it the right way and handle it the right way. And it's really been pretty seamless, and they've done a great job of that.
Talking about this James Madison team and the way that they're constructed, I think it's safe to say that they believe in running the ball and they believe in stopping the run. Is that a fair assessment, Dave?
A fair assessment. I think every time that I ask Coach Chesney during my pregame conversations, I'm just like, what are your biggest keys? It's always run the ball, stop the run, and the turnover ratio. Those are the 3 that I think he gives every single week. But that's kind of how this team is transformed into, especially on the defensive side, they have been lights out the entire year. Even going back to the Louisville game, so many people now, there's so many experts out there that are saying, oh, there shouldn't be 2 G5 teams in. JMU hasn't beat a Power 4 team. Well, number one, nobody wants to play James Madison because of the success that they have had. JMU beat North Carolina last year by 20, scored 70 on them in Chapel Hill. They beat Virginia the year before that. When they were FCS, they were competing with teams. They beat SMU and others. So there's been a string of success against Power 4 schools, and now they don't want to play them. It's hard to get those games on the schedule. So that's part of it. But then when they did go play at Louisville this year, JMU outgained them. They held Louisville, who was full strength at the time, to 12 first downs. And they held them to 264 yards, and 144 came on 2 plays. That everything else, there were 51 other plays that were for 120 yards. So they showed that they went to a Power 4 school that was in the top 25, that beat Miami, who's in the college football playoff, and held them to 264 yards of offense at their stadium. So this defense has been top 10 the entire year, and stopping the run has been the biggest thing. In the 9 conference games, including the conference championship against Troy this past week, in the second halves of games, they've allowed 143 rushing yards total in 9 games in the second halves of those games. They've pitched 6 shutouts in those 9 games in the second half. So they've gotten better and made adjustments as the games have worn on, and they've been incredible, especially as you mentioned, against the run. They've done an unbelievable job. They've got some guys that can get after the quarterback as well. So the defensive line, they play 8 to 10 guys, really keep those guys fresh and do a tremendous job. Colin Hitchler came in. He was at Alabama a year ago and has done a good job. And then running the football, Wayne Knight, for your fans, Wayne Knight is a tremendous story. He's got over 1,200 yards now. He was the MVP of the Sun Belt Championship on Friday. And he is a guy that came redshirted his first year. That was when Coach Cignetti was at JMU. A little undersized. He's 5'7", but he's thick, he's strong, he's powerful, but just a little undersized. He was going to have he played some as a true freshman. His second year was Coach Cignetti's last year. And he had already played in 4 games, but he's only playing on special teams. He went to Coach Cignetti and was just like, hey, can I preserve my red shirt, not playing any more games? Because he was there. The running back room was loaded. He wasn't going to get snaps at running back. He was just going to be special teams on like punt and punt rush and things like that. And he wanted to preserve his year. And Coach Cignetti, unfortunately, said no. So Wayne stepped away from the team, and he actually went into the transfer portal. He didn't take any visits. He was just in there. He was away from the team. When Coach Cignetti went to Indiana, Bob Chesney came in, and his brother, Yamir Knight, who's now at SMU, was on James Madison's roster and said to Coach Chesney, hey, Wayne wants to be, he loves JMU. He wants to be here. He wants to be part of this team. And so they had a conversation. Wayne Knight came back on the team. And so he ran for about 450 yards a year ago, was one of the rotation backs, and he had a tremendous offseason. His brother transferred to SMU. He could have gone with him or somewhere else. He decided to stay. He loves this place. He loves the coaching staff. He worked his tail off, won the job out of fall camp, and now he is first team all conference and over 1,200 yards. He's a guy that's put in the work, went through some trials and tribulations, and he's an unbelievable kid, first of all, and to have the year that he's had, it's pretty special. And they rely on their offensive line to run the football. Alonzo Barnett can run the football at quarterback as well. He's helped out a lot on that. That +1 run game opens things up for Wayne Knight and the other backs. But that offensive line, it's a veteran group up front that's really talented, and we'll see if they can do some of that against the Ducks. That'll be a very difficult challenge, but that's kind of what they've leaned on all year long.
Getting the view from James Madison, broadcaster Dave Riggert joining us. More of the scouting report heading into this college football playoff game on December 20th. We're 10 days away. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Let's continue our conversation with Dukes broadcaster Dave Riggert, the voice of James Madison. You mentioned the dual threat aspect of your quarterback, and I'm curious about that because if I look, and I did this, right, just look at the statistics, and I go, okay, that's a guy who can get into the red zone both with his arm and with his legs.
There's no doubt, and there was some concern going into this year because he tore his ACL the final play of the regular season last year against Marshall in double overtime. And so there was some concern that was he actually going to be ready to play this year? And you just never know how those surgeries are going to go, how the rehab's going to go. So obviously at that position, you have to get it right in college. In football, but especially in college football, you have to have the quarterback position right. So they had a connection with Matthew Sluka, who was at UNLV a year ago. He spent 4 years with this staff at Holy Cross and set records as one of their most accomplished quarterbacks in Holy Cross history, one of the best at the FCS level. So they went and got him to bring him in just in case Alonzo Barnett was not ready. The first 2 games, they used a 2-quarterback system because the 2 quarterbacks are completely different. Matt Sluka is a tremendous runner, tremendous athlete, and that's his game. He can still throw it, but Alonzo's kind of the opposite. He can throw it, but he can also run the football a little bit as well, but his strength is throwing the football. It worked against Weber State, again, an FCS school. It was great. Everybody thought it was going to work out great. Went to Louisville, and again, that's a different animal. With that front, with how good they are, it just didn't work. And it was kind of a mess, to be honest with you. So they had a bye week. They kind of got things right. And Alonzo started to get healthier and healthier. And he won the job out of fall camp, amazingly, after having the ACL surgery in December of last year. But he won the job out of fall camp. He worked his tail off, and he was able to win the job. He looked great in fall camp. It just took some time when the game reps were coming. It's just a different animal when you're going up against other teams and not just in practice where you can kind of protect him. And after the Georgia State game, which they did not play well, that's a bad team, and they played terrible and had to kind of survive and win a 14-7 game. Since that point in time, this offense has averaged almost 500 yards per game, and they got the running game going with the quarterback, Alonzo Barnett, and he's been the guy the rest of the year since game 2. So it's not a 2-quarterback system at all. Was named the player of the year in the Sun Belt, but when he gets his legs going, it changes the offense. Against Troy this past in the Sun Belt championship game, they struggled a little bit in the first half. It was a little inconsistent. Then the quarterback run game got involved, and that opened everything else up. So he's obviously being the quarterback. He's the focal point. But when he can have his legs get involved in this offense, it opens everything else for him with his arm, but then for Wayne Knight and the others in the backfield as well.
Great scouting report from Dave Riggert, a guy who knows JMU well, if you couldn't tell. The play-by-play broadcaster, Dave Riggert, joining us.
I better.
I was going to say, it's like when I get asked these questions about Oregon, I'm like, okay, I got to know what I'm talking about here, right? I'm with you. But, Dave, I'm curious, though, too, like we've talked about Barnett, we talked about Knight. I was curious about the rushing attack and the way the offense has gotten going. You talked about stopping the run. What else is there about this JMU team that you think would be helpful for Oregon fans to know? We're all still getting to know each other at this point in preparation.
I think the one thing is just kind of how the roster was constructed. That's something that was a little bit different than a lot of times. A lot of teams at the Group of 5 level, they bring back a lot of Power 4 bounce backs, right. And it's a lot of potential over production. And even though they were at Oregon or they were at UCLA or they are at Georgia, doesn't mean they were a great football player. They weren't playing there. A lot of those guys, some of them were, but a lot of them weren't. So that's kind of how teams have gone about it, especially in the Sun Belt. It's kind of an SEC country. You see a lot of SEC bounce backs in the league, and it doesn't mean they're good players. This staff, and they did some of that here in their first year. They had to get guys in. It was a total transform of the roster, over 60 guys. But in year 2, they really went with production over potential. And it was a lot of FCS guys. Our 3 starting receivers were all FCS guys a year ago. Our starting center, even though he was at UNC the year before, he didn't play there. He was at Division III Muhlenberg for 3 years and was an All-American. We have a receiver in Smoke Collins. He was a Division II kid at Tusculum. So but these guys had all played football. It's not like they were sitting at a Power 4 school and just on a scout team or not getting any reps at all. So they went over production, even though it was at a lower level. As I mentioned earlier with FCS, people don't pay as much attention to it, but there's still really good football there. I was at a Division II school at Missouri Western, like I talked about earlier, and they've got guys in the NFL right now. Right. So there's great players at every level, and they went with mature guys that love football that have had production at the collegiate level. Might not be at the FBS level, but it's proven to work that they're experienced guys that understand football. They understand situational awareness and everything like that. So it's a very mature team that it's about as close a team as I've ever been around. That's one thing Coach Chesney does an unbelievable job, is the culture and just having offensive guys hang out with defensive guys and just different things like that. It's a close-knit team that's a mature and experienced team, even though all that experience isn't at JMU.
Yeah, well, I know UCLA fans are excited for Bob Chesney.
They are.
Up. Yeah, we'll see. All right, final thoughts here. I'm curious the view of Oregon from you and from James Madison. You know, what's the perception of the Ducks before you make the trek out to Autzen Stadium?
Well, for me, and again, I've been a sports junkie my entire life, so I've always been a huge Oregon fan just because I love the uniforms and everything like that. So that's where it all started with me. But, you know, obviously it's a tremendous program. Speaking of connections, Dan Lanning, obviously he's a Missouri guy, and I was in Missouri. Where I lived in Missouri and worked was about 50 minutes from where he went to school at William Jewell College. He was at Park Hill South as an assistant coach in his first coaching job out of college. And I was calling games for teams that were playing his team. Now, I didn't know this at the time, that he was on staff there and he would become what he is. But he started out near the Kansas City area, and that's where I was working before. So the little connection there. So it's pretty neat to see a guy like that to do what he's done. But obviously it's a tremendous challenge. There's so much respect for the Ducks in that program. I think talking to a few of the guys and some of the folks around here, they think of speed. That's Oregon fast. It's always a fast, physical team, and they do things the right way. They score a lot of points. They get after you on defense. So there's a ton of respect. There's not a ton of connections with the two programs, but I think everybody on the outside, especially here, they look at Oregon as one of the premier programs in all of college football. So they know this will be a huge challenge. I know our guys are looking forward to coming out there. The coaches, our fans. I think we'll bring a lot of fans just because this is could be a once in a lifetime situation where it's going to be hard to maybe get back to the college football playoff. That's not an every year thing for a group of 5 school. So there's just so much respect, and I think they are happy to be in this spot and they're grateful, but they also want to prove themselves. They want to show that they can go compete. They want to win, but they just want to show they can compete with teams like Oregon and other teams and see what happens. So that's one thing with this group. They're not fazed by anything. The moment's never too big. That's why I talked about some of the second halves. They've been down at halftime in 3 games and won all those games. So this is a cool place for folks out there. They obviously don't know much about James Madison. It's a rabid fan base that loves this university, and it's just continuing to grow and grow and grow on the national level. It's fun. It's been fun to see the brand grow across the country. Obviously, we're going across the entire country, but even our coaches, when they go out recruiting, people recognize the JMU brand now, which was not the case 5 or 6 years ago.
Interesting. Talk about the rise, and here we are getting to see it at Autzen Stadium. All right, I'll leave you with this. I think I might know the answer. Keys to the game.
Let me think about this. Let's say run the football, stop the run, and win the turnover battle.
There it is.
See, I can do coach speak too.
That's right.
I hear it enough. We all hear it enough, don't we?
Oh, we do. I mean, and I got to tell you, when you said it took every ounce of my being not to shout it with you. You have to run the ball because our analyst Mike Jorgensen of now 37 years. I ask him for keys to the game, and he's just always run the ball, and then we move on. We just move on with our segment, Dave. That's it. That's all we do. So,
hey, we're both in the playoff, and it's sometimes football can be simple. Coaches make it too difficult sometimes. Run the ball, stop the run, win the turnover battle. You will win a lot of football games.
As Coach Lanning always says, the more physical team will win. It's
absolutely, and that's what JMU tries to pride itself on too. So this should be a lot of fun.
We can go round and round on Coach Speak Carousel and figure out where we land. Dave Riggert, he's the voice of James Madison. Thank you so much. I'm stealing Ducks and Dukes from you for the rest of the preparation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
You can do that.
Dave, thank you. Travel safe.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Looking forward to shaking Dave's hand in the press box. Great to get the view from the James Madison side of this matchup. When we come back, zeroing in on Oregon track and field for all the right reasons on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously. The best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart.
Final segment of Duck Insider on a Wednesday as we now turn towards celebration of a few different Oregon Hall of Fame inductees. Tomorrow we will feature interviews with every single 2025 Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame inductee, but we actually had one last year that couldn't make it to the ceremony because she was pregnant. She was having a baby. Laura Raisler, a 2024 inductee, one of the most decorated runners in the storied history of Oregon track and field. Laura Raisler earned 17 All-America honors, won 5 NCAA championships, 3 Pac-12 titles, was named the 2014 Women's Bowerman Award winner as the nation's top track and field athlete. A middle distance specialist, particularly in the 800 meters, claimed 3 straight Pac-12 titles at that distance. Her career started with a bang as a freshman, placing 3rd in the 800 in the Pac-12 championships. And then her senior year that produced the Bowerman was just the exclamation point on what was a really remarkable career. A second-team academic All-American in 2014 as well. Qualified for the 2016 Olympic trials. Finished 7th in the 800 meters in the 2017 U.S. Track and Field Championships. One of the best Oregon has ever seen. Laura Raisler. Got a chance to catch up with her on stage. We recognized her for joining the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame, Laura Raisler.
Well, first, let's just say congratulations, and also it's a year later than we could have congratulated you because you had some exciting news, right?
Yes, last year I had a 3-week-old, so we were not going to make the trip.
Well, congratulations then.
Thank you.
When you see the video, how much does it take you down memory lane? What kind of flashes through your mind as you think about some of your highlights there?
The first was pain, because the first video they showed was like a 1500, which was not my thing. But just a lot of good memories. It makes me miss old Hayward Field a little bit. Yeah. I got to see the new one today, and it was awesome. But just really great memories. It feels like a lifetime ago, but just yesterday at the same time.
We've heard this point made, and I'm sure we'll hear it again, that it does take a village to get you here. Who's here with you tonight? Who do you want to thank?
My family is here with me, my husband, my sister, my brother, and my parents, and I would like to especially thank them for their love and support and just their joy and willingness to go on this journey with me. I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I achieved without them by my side. And then my friends, teammates, the coaches at Oregon, on and off the track, weight room, the staff, the trainers, and the officials and volunteers at Hayward Field that make Hayward what it is and the Hayward magic.
I asked you about memories. I'll ask you again, just some memories that jump to mind. Do you have anything that's come to mind as you go down memory lane thinking about your time here?
I would have to say probably my favorite memory was my senior year indoors. Before the 4x4, it was a very close team race. Our coach kind of was like, no pressure, but you guys have to win for us to win the team title. But
no pressure, though.
But no pressure.
No pressure.
Have a good one. And so we went out on the track, and our anchor, Phyllis, got the baton in second place and comes off the final turn with 50 to go, passes, leans. We win the 4x4 by like 0.01, I don't know, 2, and won the team race by half a point. And you just can't really recreate or explain the excitement of a moment like that.
Well, and especially you talk about the team aspect, right? And you were on, we've talked about this, you were on some successful teams here.
And part of it was like, that was my senior year, so my class especially, that was like the 5th in a row at that point. That's right. So it was like, we cannot be the ones to break the streak. So to be able to keep that alive, along with some of us winning individual titles, the relay titles, and the team title, the success is fun.
We talk about the memories and the fun, and I just like to always sum it up. What's it meant to be a Duck, and what's this feeling like here tonight to be recognized in this way?
To be a part of, I was reading the names in the back of the book, and to be a part of a group of names like that I'm just so honored and humbled. And, sometimes I feel like when you're in the moment, you don't really get to sit and think on what you've achieved, and it's a good reminder to like cherish those moments and the journey it took. But it's just been great to be back. It feels like home here. It always will, and go Ducks for sure.
Well, we're glad that you chose Oregon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, thank you.
Laura Raisler, so a 2024 inductee, but we recognized her at this event because, as we alluded to, she was having a baby. Next show, tomorrow's program, we will go through the entire 2025 class, let you listen to what it meant to them to be a Duck. A couple of shout-outs today. Simeon Birnbaum, Big Ten Track and Field Athlete of the Week, and the Freshman of the Week going to Deanna Cheritich, the freshman distance runner. Outstanding work, a couple Big Ten honors. See you tomorrow, everybody.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time, and it's